Are you on the common ground page? Can you go to mine? Oh, right here. Okay, here we go.
Hey, everybody.
That was an abrupt ending. So we're on a new streaming platform, so we can't. We'll see if we can see you. But let's just start with somebody say hello in the chat box in the comments. Let us know who's on out there. We're giving away a bunch of prizes and all kinds of fun things tonight. I just want to see if this chat box is working. It was earlier. And let me know if you're streaming on Facebook or on YouTube. And where you're at, where you're from.
There we go.
Hey, 80's on. 80's on. I bet she's on Facebook. No, she's on YouTube. Is that right? 80, you're on YouTube? Well, cool. I'm going to jump in for those of you who listened to the beginning or those of you who are going to listen to it later. Hey, Amy Kaufman. I'm so jazzed that you're here. Anyway, you were just listening to some piano music, and that is actually Stan's mother playing piano, and we'll talk about that a little later. I'm going to kind of buzz through some things, but the first thing I want to tell you tonight about this entire project is we had a little coffee meeting yesterday with the former VP of Motown Gospel, very cool guy. Kind of fell in love with him. His name's Larry Blackwell. And he started asking me, the important questions, I guess. And one of them was, what do you want to accomplish with this album? And so my answer wound up being this. So when I left Nashville, I wound up living in an apartment in downtown Fort Worth. And I really feel like God said to me in that apartment, write as if you're writing for 100 generations from now. So that was quite a shift in the way that I would write. Like, don't write for Nashville, don't write hit song or try to write hit songs or whatever. It was just write as if you're writing for 100 generations from now. And that's quite an amazing assignment or responsibility and flip in the way you would approach songwriting. So from that perspective, I'm very proud of the songwriting on this album, because not only was I writing for 100 generations of anybody's family, but I was even writing for 100 generations of my own family from here to eternity. I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyway, I've got my left brain, right brain thing going tonight because I got all this technical stuff and I'm trying to be creative. And so bear with me. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to play the first song. Hey, Joan, glad to see you. But before I do, I want to tell you this. So in that same apartment in downtown Fort Worth, and the cowboys, the cattlemen of my family would, as you'll hear in another song, they would load the train with the cows and the boys, and they would go to the stockyards in Fort Worth, Texas. So when I moved into this apartment in Fort Worth, all these memories kind of flooded back. And the idea to write this album actually came to me in 1993, but I totally blew it off. And some of you have read that story or heard that story. But in 1993, with some age on me and these things become more important. Anyway, those stories kind of started flooding back. And in that apartment, I had a dream. And you know how dreams are just kind of all scattered. And in this dream, I was just going from here to there to here to there and seeing all these things. And I'll let the little song clip tell the rest of the story there. And these are just little clips of the songs. You'll have to go buy the album to get to hear, if you haven't already done that, to get to hear the full songs. And this little software wouldn't let me load the full songs anyway. So here we go. This is called Wagon Wheel. It's his first song on the album.
I had a dream last night, the wagon wheel came flying from the sky. I could hear the voice of my family on high. I was left standing there just wondering why. It seemed there was a story just dying to be told. Something about the coffers of old. I woke up in a dead cold sweat and I hadn't been able to shake it yet, 'cause the wagon wheel came round.
Okay, the suspense. I hope it has you. So let me give something away real quick.
I've got to say something.
Okay, go say.
Chris and Candy Ray
Yeah.
in Washington State. Haven't seen them in forever. Really, really good friends from the past.
So cool that you got on. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And Karen, we love you. You know, we love you. And thanks for what you said on Facebook earlier. It means more than you know when you say those things. So, and yes, it is Mr. Looper he's talking about. No, I'm just kidding. It's a whole different subject. I'm sorry. Let me stay focused. So the first little thing I'm going to give away, Stan, is my model.
Yes,
And
I've been wearing this thing for months.
Yeah, when these first came in, I didn't even give one to Stan because I'm cheap. No, but he took one and he has never taken it off. And truly, that's the kind of support that he is. He's amazing that way. So the deal with these is they're just little cheap plastic or rubber. I'll send one in the mail to you if you don't already have one of these. But the thing about these is if you have one and we're ever in your area and we do a show, this gets you in free.
Yes.
So, and some other little.
So
little
I get
perks,
in free
he gets into the show free.
every time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay to come play guitar.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we forgot. So we got to make an awkward switch here, but we're going to play a little piece of the next song. We'll tell you about these guitars in a bit. Sorry, I got to scoot back. We are cramped in here a bit. So we're just going to play a little piece of this song, and I just want to tell you a couple of stories. This is song number 2, and this is about Homer. Let me get this picture back up here so you can see. This would be Homer on the left. Obviously, that's Pearl on the right, and we'll talk about Pearl in a minute. And in between there is all of their children and children's children and some of their children's children's children right there. That is a picture of heritage right there. So I'm gonna do these verses a little bit out of order, but we'll do the first verse of Homer if I can find a pick. And then I want to do the third verse of Homer, and I want to point out a couple of things. One is that at some point, David Letterman or Jay Leno, let me go to the chat and somebody tell me, can you guys hear us okay? I guess so, because Karen just laughed at us. So that's good. That's a good sign.
Maybe she's laughing at us for other reasons.
Could be. Anyway, so David Letterman or Jay Leno or one of those guys. My family name is Cluck, but they were cattle men. And so Jay Leno or somebody thought that was funny. And they, showed a picture of the Cluck Cattle Company on the Tonight Show or the Letterman Show at one point. So that's kind of a cool little tidbit. And then the other thing is that in this verse, the third verse, actually, there's a line about Homer's in-laws, which were Pearl's siblings. And I may have that fact wrong. I don't know if they were her siblings or her nieces. Her nephews. But anyway, there were 4 kids and their names were, believe it or not, Oklahoma, Terry, and Tori.
Oklahoma Territory.
Oklahoma Territory. All right, so we're going to sing a little piece of this.
They say you could find him in the fields down on one knee with a Bible in both of his hands. Now he wasn't an angel and he wasn't a saint, but all in all he was a pretty good man. Homer Cluck found hope in Hansford County, and when the crops failed he never gave up. He tilled and toiled, believing in the bounty, despite the drought and the wind and the dust.
All right, we're skipping a verse, going to the third.
His bloodline traced to Germany, so they shortened up that name to the irony of a chicken sound cluck. With in-laws Okla and Homer and Terry and Tori. And if you think I'm lying, look it up
On Google, you can.
Homer Cluck found hope in Hansford County, and when the crops failed, he never gave up. He tilled and toiled, believing in the bounty, despite the drought and the wind and the dust.
Woohoo! So that line right there, despite the, oh, thank you, Carrie Reynolds. I trust your ears. We're going to talk about your husband's guitars here in a minute. Anyway, that line, when the crops failed, he never gave up. Truly, that line would jump out at me. I don't know if most of you have been following this. I've been working on this record for 152 years, and I'm only 56. But but when it, there just were so many things that would block it, and some of that would be me. But anyway, that would really encourage me again. That, Homer never gave up. And I've talked to young cousins of the 5th generation, and Colby said to me one time, I have that thing in me. I have that never give up thing in me. And so, it's in the blood. It's very cool. So now let's skip to the next song on the record, which is Pearl. So again, for those who've just jumped on, we'll show you. This is Pearl on the right, and that is Homer on the left. And these are their children and their children's children and some of their children's children's children.
There you go. You got
Did
them
I
all.
say that right?
Yes.
All right. So, oops, let me go back to that. So when I wrote Pearl, I was, well, no, it's got a little Christmas thing. Anyway, there's a couple of stories about this. If you're in the VIP perks, you're going to get some really cool stories in your email this week, that some little secrets about the album. But anyway, I decided that it'd be a really cool idea to get some of the little kids of the 6th generation, 5th and 6th generation, to sing a part of this song with me, which is a part, it's a thing that we called her Mama. Her name is Pearl, but we called her Mama. It's a thing that she used to say. And most people don't know what it means, but I have since found out through a family member that it just means it's a beautiful day. It's a good day. Yeah. And so anyway, this is the Cluck Choir. And oh my goodness. So there's a little voice at the very end. I mean, I love all the voices on this, but there's a little voice at the very end, and she has a little bit of a shake in her voice, and she sings the word day. You'll hear her. And her name actually is Pearl. I think they didn't call her Pearl until we did this project, and her mom decided we're calling her Pearl now, which is just so cool. And then the very last sound that you hear will be a sound of a baby, and that is my 6-month-old great niece.
Yeah.
Stevie. Oh my goodness. All right. So
Yeah.
here you go. Here it comes. Whoops.
She had funny little sayings nobody understood, and I'm fixing to pass them on to you. She'd say, sweet to pretty this day, sweet to pretty this day, been boony this day.
Wow, that kind of glitched out for us. Did that glitch out for you guys? If it did, I'm going to play it one more time.
Yeah, play it again. I think it did.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, let's try this one more time. Hang on. Did y'all hear it okay? Maybe they did.
No, she thought it was precious.
She thought it was precious. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll move on. You can hear it on the record. Okay, so let me give, what else am I going to give away? So I'm giving CDs away. And CDs aren't actually going to be officially released for a couple of months, but I'm going to pre-order some, and I'm going to do kind of a weird little plug for another Texas songwriter just because I happened to get his CD in the mail. And he had a release date of today. So go check this record out. It's a very cool record. But the reason I'm showing you this is what your CD will look like, except it won't have him on it. It will have, it'll have my artwork on it. So, but anyway, it's just, a little shrink wrap sleeve sort of CD is what I'm going to send. And I'm going to give 5 away. So those are going to go to Karen. They are going to go to Chris Ray and his wife. They are going to go to 80. No, 80's a family member. She'll get one anyway. Joan. Who else is on here? Somebody better speak up. Okay, who did I just say?
I think I got it straight.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
And if you could just say yay or something in the messages so I know who I just promised that to. Amy gets everything for free. And we'll talk about Amy in just a minute because something really cool happened with Amy Kaufman. She played bass and banjo on the record, but I won't give that up. I won't tell that story just yet. Okay, so I just gave some CDs away, right? Let's go to Fort Worth, and Fort Worth is number 4, and it is one of my favorite songs. Always wanted to write kind of a Texas swing type song, and it has one of my favorite lines in the song about my mother, Donna Sue, and I won't give it away. I'll just play it for you. But I was surely proud when I came up with this here line.
Cowtown debutante, some call the queens, that almost all the boys wanted to steal. They had cowgirl names like Donna Sue, and you never said one without the two, 'cause Donna was a whole different deal. Fort Worth, here they come again to make that stock exchange. Fort Worth, there they go again. Good Lord, the times they have changed.
Every time I hear that, I think it's my favorite song on the record until I hear a couple of the other ones that we're getting ready to play. I love that song.
Yeah.
That is such a fun song.
So also the songs are chronological a bit. So you start with this dream and there's kind of heavy reverb on it. And then you flip back to this whole different sound. And I should have told that. So Amy actually originally played banjo on that part. I don't even know if Amy knows the story yet, but we found a glitch in that track that we just did not have time to retrack or fix with Amy and Amarillo. But so we called our friend Michael Ricks in, And when he pulled his banjo out, we all, and he, played a little bit, we all kind of looked like, wow. I mean, it was just a sound, right? And so after the session was over, we took him to dinner, and he said, I was listening to your lyrics. That's the way players are, that he's never heard the song before. He just jumped in there and started playing. He said, I was listening to your lyrics to Homer, and it's funny because my banjo, the brand of my banjo is called Dirty 30s. So we were like, no wonder it was so fitting a sound. And it really does sound very cool. But Amy played banjo on the coolest songs. And I was so glad that she brought the banjo to these songs. So, all right. So what's the next song?
Karen wants to two-step.
Karen. Oh, all right. Well,
Yeah.
when you get your CD, Karen, you could be two-stepping. What am I doing now? Okay, so the next song that I'm going to play is actually a spoken word song, or poem, I guess I should say.
Yeah, it's a poem.
What were you going to say something and I skipped over it?
No, no.
Okay. So I've always wanted to do this and didn't know if I could pull it off or not. And one of the reasons I did, I was inspired by a songwriter out of Nashville named Tom Kimmel. Love his songwriting, but he did some spoken word stuff back, I guess, in the 90s. One of them was called He Looks More Like the Devil Than Dana Cooper. And it was just so cool the way he delivered this. And I just listened to different, Ani DeFranco did some poetry, and I love the way she delivered things. It's not necessarily cowboy poetry, but I do love cowboy poetry. And the first few attempts at this, a producer that listened to it said, that kind of sounds like redneck rap. It's like, And so I had to really work with this one. And I think I got it to a place that I'm actually proud of. So here we go. This is called Four Down. This is the piece that glues the story together. If you don't listen to Four Down, you're not going to understand this story record.
On the one hand, the big man from Austin came around, and they all cheered and clapped and broke the ground. And the second and third generations were there, and the smell of money was hanging in the air. On the other hand, it was hard to know if this new way was the right way to go. The pressure to keep up with the times had them running hard and maybe even half blind. Sometimes they'd get to wondering whether they'd strayed from what Homer had handed down.
So that was a really cool day in the studio because the musicians, so if you listen to Wagon Wheel, that piece that the musicians are playing is a very slowed down version of Wagon Wheel. But they didn't know what the spoken word story was at all. They were just playing, and it was just really one of the coolest moments.
Yeah.
And so when it came together with the spoken word, what they had done actually helped me so much with the way I was going to deliver.
Yeah, and I've heard these songs a lot, and when I really listened to the whole thing in order and heard how this poem fits in, and like Jill said a minute ago, ties it all together, it's really an important part of the project, and it's amazing. It's an amazing piece of work.
Yeah. So if you don't know this, the project is actually about family division and mending family division. And every time anybody's ever heard this project or come to a live show, or they always have their stories of their family and the divisions in their family. Pretty much every family goes through this kind of thing. And so one of the really difficult things in my family was that my grandfather struggled with severe post-traumatic after World War II. And in that day, they didn't even know what that was. They had no idea. They had no solutions for it, in the way. And it's still a very difficult thing, but we do have solutions now. But compared, they just did not know what to do about it. It was a very difficult thing. And so that's really Yellow Rose captures that story, and even the dichotomy between his mindset after World War II, after what he had seen in World War II, against the simple life mindset of anyone living in the panhandle of Texas, like my grandmother. And so I read after my grandmother died, I found a 5-year journal. And as I read the pages of this journal, it just told me she doesn't think that way. She didn't have those, those traumatic experiences. And so her mindset was just very different. So I don't even know what piece I have here, but we will listen and see. Here it comes.
When the anger on the inside started coming out, nobody understood what that was all about. And after 22 years, she had to walk away, even though he begged her to stay. Emily and Joe Davis tried to hold that high school flame, all of that post-war confusion, and his world was never the same.
Whew, that one gets me. When we did that in the studio, that was actually a scratch vocal, and just something happened, and we kept it. I actually had to change one lyric, and Glenn Storley did a little magic, and we were able to do that. But I was driving back from the studio, and I just had to pull over. I just had a real moment with that song. It's a very powerful song for me. So, okay, let me give away something else. I'll tell you what I want to give away. I want to give away 2 hours free songwriting consulting, songwriting or producer or music business, or how to stay out of the music business consulting. And so if you have, and you could give it away to anyone, like if you have a family member who is interested, or you have a daughter or a son or nephew or whatever that's started playing guitar and dabbling with songwriting or whatever, let me know if anyone has that, and we'll just keep watching the chat for that. And whoever tells me first, it's yours. 2 hours, and I'll email you with some details. Oops, let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. What's next? Oh yes. Okay, so let me talk about my favorite day in the studio. So I've lived a rather dysfunctional life. I'll just put it out there. I'll just tell you. As a broke songwriter running around with no real stability. And I've had a really frustrating time of never really being able to build an adequate home studio that I could really get anything out of. And other than really bad guitar vocals. And so we've been in this little house for about 4 years, and slowly but surely we have kind of pieced a bit of a studio together. And so this song is called Run, or you might see it called Learn to Run, but I've named it Run. And this is a song that Amy Kaufman runs a great songwriters night in Amarillo, Texas. And I played that writer's night, and she kind of jumped and said, I want to play bass on that song. I'm like, okay, you're hired, I don't even think she knew I was going to do the album yet. But anyway, so I wrote that song like in 1998. And every time I played that with a band, I cannot convey what I want that song to sound like, right? It's not really a country song, but it was on me. It wasn't the musician's fault. It was something that I wasn't doing right. I finally heard the change in my head, changed it, just one little thing that I changed about it. And Amy, you're going to be shocked if you haven't heard this yet, or maybe you have already heard it, but it's a totally different song. So what we had to do is kind of peel back the band that we used in Amarillo, except for Amy's bass line and Danny Darling on drums. We added Stan, and this is where I want to talk about these guitars. So our friend Michael Reynolds and his wife Carrie, and probably Michael's with her too. Michael built these guitars for us. These are called Leaper Sport guitars. Some of you have seen these and know the story and everything. This is ebony out of the Congo, and we hope to go to the Congo, to this Taylor factory, to watch these guys work and cut this wood. That would be so cool. And Stand, yeah, tell about your. So Stands is a classical.
Yeah, it's a classical guitar. It's the best guitar I've ever owned. It is. It sounds amazing. It plays amazing. It's a world-class guitar. My great grandkids will have this guitar. It's just beautiful, but it sounds amazing. That's the most important part. And Jill let me play on a record, and I was really happy about that.
Yeah. So Stan's in the other room working remotely. Working his tail off, and I'm in here trying to pretend like I have a studio. And I'm like, do you have a break? Can you come in here and do this guitar part? And so anyway, this was the first time that we actually, I've done vocals at home, but like we got a guitar sound that I was really happy about, and I got vocals that I was happy about. And it turned into the song that I had heard in my head since the late 90s. And it was just a total magic thing. And the stuff that Stan was playing, anyway, it was just fun. I just loved it. It was just a little creative crashing together. Yes, Carrie says he's here. Okay, so we're going to play a piece of this, and you can hear these guitars and what I'm talking about. Here we go. Here it comes.
Yeah, there you go.
Raised on a ranch outside of town in the panhandle of Texas, with the weight of my world on a sorrel quarter horse. They could try, but they couldn't catch us. Yeah, that's where I learned to run. That's where I learned to run.
Yay! Give it up for Mike Reynolds, the guitar builder. They sound amazing.
Yes, they do, Mike. Thank you so much.
I'm like so happy about that song. So cool. So now let me give something else away, and I'm going to give away some downloads, some free downloads. So Joan and Chris and all of you that bought downloads and are on here going, dang, why didn't you tell us you were going to give this stuff away? Because I needed the money. That's why I didn't tell you. Anyway, Joan and Chris, I'm going to send you a free download. I should write this stuff down, right? And so while you're waiting on your CD, you actually get to hear it. And you don't even have to download it. You can download it and move it to your phone or whatever you want to. But I will do that tonight. You can hear the whole record tonight. Woohoo! Isn't that exciting? Do you have anything you'd like to add? No?
I'm just enjoying the show.
Okay. All right. Now what?
You're doing all the work. I'm just sitting here watching you.
Okay. So the next song, and I can't even afford my own merch. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to whine and moan and say, I'm broke. Can you see? But anyway, I would give this cup away, but I'm not going to because I just bought it for myself. But this coffee cup is a piece of merch in the merch store, and it comes from the song that I'm going to play next. And so just to give you a little background, I lived with my grandfather in high school, and all of my family members, I don't know if there's any Texans out there that this was the case for, but almost all of my family members, and even Stan's family members, all had kitchen corner booths. You know what I mean? Like a booth with a table in front of it. And I'll let the lyrics do the talking here. Let me see. Oh, you're welcome, Mike. Okay, let me shut up. Let me shut up and sing. How about that? Anyway, here comes the song. Ooh, coffee.
Right over there.
Thanks.
There you go.
You should be running that.
Yeah, man.
I'd find the brothers at the booth behind billows of smoke and laughter, but they'd always leave without the thing they'd all come chasing after. 'Cause cup after cup he kept pouring out, but I never once heard it all find an end. They'd drink that coffee down and then they'd shuffle, and they'd just play the game again.
Okay, so just a little more of the story there. The brothers were the five brothers, and there was a division between the brothers that I don't think they ever fully resolved, but I did in my high school years. I did catch them several times in that kitchen corner booth trying to kind of talk through that stuff. They just didn't know quite how to get through all of that. And so Coffee is a song that actually spells out kind of a recipe, which is what's on this coffee cup, for how to get through those family divisions. And if there's another thing that I want from this record, it's for people to be, and it's already happened, and we get stories back that people are inspired to go and reconcile with their family members. I just think it's just so important that we need our family, and we need our families reconciled and united, especially for what we're all going through in America and in the world today. So, and family doesn't just mean blood family. That's your family of friends, or your church family, or your musician family, or whatever. So I really hope that the album inspires that. So I'm going to do one more. No, I'm gonna leave two off, because you really have to go get the album to hear the two, and I would almost say they were the best two, but you won't get the point of the story without the song number 11. And so let me do Last Days, right? Is that where I am?
Yeah.
So Last Days is actually, oh no, I didn't write this one down. Let me see what I got here. Oh no, let's don't do Last Days yet. We got to do this one. So, and even in Coffee, it talks about smoke. They all smoke cigars or pipes or cigarettes, or all three at the same time sometimes. So that's why I would, I'd walk in from school and just be like, and they would be there playing gin. They love to play the game gin. So they all would, you'll hear this in the song Fort Worth. They would go to Fort Worth on the train, and they would go and, sell their cattle, and they would stay at the Worthington. Mm-hmm. That's sounding wrong to me, but yes, the Worthington in downtown Fort Worth, and they would have brand new Cadillacs delivered to the hotel. And then all those brothers would get in those Cadillacs, and they would race each other out on the plains all the way back to Groover, Texas, to Groover's north of Amarillo. They were a wild bunch, and I just love them to pieces. So anyway, there was a saying in our town, and Stan is from my hometown. And the saying was, you can always tell when one of your relatives have died, because all you can see is cowboy hats and Cadillacs. And being a songwriter, I thought, oh, I just absolutely have to write that. So that is what I'm going to play next. Here it goes.
Silence of the siblings would break for the day, but before it was over, it was all the same way. The temperature rose in the heated debates. They shovel on the dirt and they drove away in their cowboy hats and their Cadillacs, and another one gone.
Okay, that was a little surprise at the end. So that is actually Stan's mom on piano. I mentioned that in the beginning, and I want to tell you the story about how that happened. So Stan's mom and dad came out to visit us in Franklin a few years ago, and we didn't tell her about this, but I had her staying at a friend's house who was out of town, and the friend had a beautiful grand piano, and we sprung it on Stan's mom that we were going to record a little album on her. And we had to twist her arm a little bit, but we talked her into doing it. And it was really special. And I'm not going to tell you the whole thing. We're going to get that to you all later. But in my playlist or player on my phone, I was listening to a mix of Cowboy Hats and Cadillacs over and over, different mixes or whatever. And the next song that would play in my player was that song of Carolyn playing Grace Greater Than Our Sins. And it happened over and over. And I was finally like, oh, hello, that has to go on the end of Cowboy Hats and Cadillacs. Because what you need to understand is that almost any Cluck funeral that was had, Carolyn would have played the piano at their funeral. And here's another little kind of crazy thing. Are we still on? What's happening here? No? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, we're good.
I thought there was a glitch. So I just put this graphic up earlier and it dawned on me. Okay. So you see the picture of the family in the middle, and then you see that church behind them. That is the Baptist church that Carolyn has been playing in since Stan was 2 weeks old, which makes Carolyn about 35 now. But anyway, so I don't know. I just thought that was very cool, right?
Yeah,
she plays piano in that very church. So I just working on this project, I fell in love with heritage, and I just think it's important to find your heritage and find that family member who has really, dug into the history. And another little thing that you can check out on the website, if you're ever on the website, go to the tab that says Family Reunion, and you'll hear my great aunt telling all of these stories. That's the first thing that you'll hear. And she's got this incredible speaking voice that everybody flips out over when they hear it. But then you'll also hear Pearl, probably in her early 90s or late 80s. She's older, and to be honest with you, she's tripping up on her false teeth just a bit. But she's singing songs and telling stories, and it's absolutely precious. And then there's also actually a family reunion where my family members are playing, Waltz Across Texas and that kind of thing. So it's just a cool little piece of my history, and but it'll pull up your history too. So the last song I'm going to play is called Last Days. And this is a song that I wrote when I was 24. I think I was about 24. And this is about literally sitting beside my grandfather on his deathbed and the things that he said to me on his deathbed. And so this actually won me a spot at the Kerrville Folk Festival, in the Kerrville Folk Festival competition. Not like it's a headline or anything, back in the day. So that's how far of a span of songwriting has gone on here. So this is called Last Days.
He said, I don't know a whole hell of a lot, but I know it doesn't come around again. So give the world everything you got, and you'll get back what you need before the end.
It's a beautiful song. I absolutely love that song.
I don't really know if I even know what sleeper means. It's like an unexpected favorite movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that means? I'm just making stuff up at this
No,
point.
I think that's
okay.
close,
Well,
yeah.
if there's a sleeper, that's the sleeper to me.
Yeah.
Like it's the thing that I wasn't expecting it to be, but yeah, it gets me too. So what did I have anything else to give away? Here, I'll give you his CD. No, I'm kidding. I gotta have that. The point. Okay, so I'll give you one hint. Here was kind of a cool thing. This is totally random, but it's sitting here, and I'm going to talk about it. So we were running an errand yesterday. We were going to go have the coffee meeting yesterday, and I stepped outside, and I don't know if you can see that or not. Hello. Anyway, it's really dirty, but that's like a buffalo quarter. I don't know. It seemed tied to the albums.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There are 3 bonus songs that I have not recorded yet, and I pulled in a lot of elements in this song about Texas and about West Texas and the Panhandle of Texas. But one subject I have not covered is Native Americans, and I have a song called Tahlequah, and we're going to record it in a very, very special way, special recording technique called binaural recording. I won't get technical, but anyway, with a bunch of friends in Paladura Canyon at some point. There's lots of future plans for this. And speaking of future plans, what we're working on for this year, by the end of, we're going to work toward this. I'm believing for it, but we're going to do a multimedia stage production of the whole album that will pull in portions of our film. It will have live actors, blah, blah, blah. And I want to give away, let me see who's on here. Let me see who, sorry. This is kind of weird. I should have drew names. You know what? I'm going to give Carrie and Michael 2 free tickets to that show. The plan is early December or late November, but no matter when it is, you have two freaking tickets. My God. Okay, back to the record. So I'm not going to play one of my favorite songs off of the album called Adriana Lane, which is my wonderful cousin. And if you see the name 80 over there making comments, that is Adriana Lane. We call her 80. And so anyway, you'll have to hear the song. But the point of the whole record is return to love. If there's one phrase, it's just return to love. We all need to return to love. And in this country right now, we've lost ourselves and we've lost our love for each other. And so that's another thing that I just pray that this album would inspire a return to love, and specifically among the commoners. We are a family. We need each other. And so yeah, and then there's 2 more songs left on the album that you'll hear. Do you have anything else to?
I think you got.
I see something that I left out here, and I'm gonna talk about it. Oh, you know what? I was gonna give this cup away, so I'm gonna give this cup away. I'm gonna give the coffee cup away, and I don't know who I'm gonna give it to yet. I'm going to message you. I'm gonna send you an email. It's gonna be a secret who I'm gonna give that cup to. So one last thing. You'll hear a line in the song Cowboy Hats and Cadillacs. I don't know if you've ever been to an empty saddle ceremony, but in Texas and different, cowboy cultures, when someone passes away, they do what's called an empty saddle ceremony where someone leads an empty saddled horse out of town, or however they do that. That's how we did it. And we lost a young member of this family. We've lost too many young members of this family over the years. But we lost a young member of the family named Colt Cluck, and his father, Monty Cluck, was doing the empty saddle, leading the empty saddle horse. And I just had a real encounter watching that. And I mean, when I say real encounter, it was this kind of a spiritual encounter that really got a hold of me and said to me, family is so important, and family heritage is so important. And what we see in life, is just so much bigger and so much more important than our busy lives let us stop and think about. And so, just remember that. So I think that is all we were going to do here. Does anybody have any questions?
We're so glad you guys showed up and spent this time with us. This record is amazing. It really is. Not just because she's my wife. I'm telling you, this is a really incredible record. I'm gonna do one thing real quick here. I am going to put a link in the I'm gonna put a link in the comments. If you're not on the mailing list and you want to be on the mailing list, I don't want to push that, but you can go to this little link right there and you can subscribe. Just 2 seconds. You just put your email in there and you're done. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. It's very cool. Today was the release date, 2/22/22. Big day for me. I am wiped out. We're going to bed. We love you all. See you later.